What's going on, everyone? So the Lakers are still active in trying to find some type of trades, right? It's kind of cooled down a little bit, which makes sense, right? You put the early feelers out. You're trying to see, okay, what's available? What can you get? What's the asking prices? Right now, early on, everyone's asking prices are at an all-time high, right? As you get closer to training camp, you start seeing those prices drop down. I expect if the Lakers do pull off a trade, again, if they pull off a trade, I think it'll be closer to training camp. I mean, even like the Russ trade was like, 2 weeks before training camp, something like that, 3 weeks before training camp. It wasn't far out from training camp. So we're still a ways away. We're still like 2 months from that. So I do think you're starting to see in general with all teams, things really start to cool down because everyone kind of knows, all right, it's patience time, right? Who breaks first? Who needs something first type thing. But if the Lakers pull something off, great, right? I do think that the Lakers need a piece or two. I don't think that they're like so far away. It's like, man, they got to revamp the entire roster. But I do think if they get the right piece or two, boom, they can be right back into contention. I mean, just look at how good LeBron James and Anthony Davis are still. I mean, on a roster full of superstars, they've been the two best players, right? Like, they're good. And they're both on the same team, right? So, again, I don't think that they need a ton to get there and win a chip. But I do think that, you get the right piece or two. I think the Lakers, now we're talking type thing, right? But in the same breath, I don't think it's the be-all, end-all, worst-case scenario if they just kind of run it back and stand pat, right? To me, and what I want to kind of talk about, and of course I want to hear your thoughts and opinions, so let me know down in the comments, but like, is it even worth making a trade at the moment, right? Like, you look at kind of the landscape of the NBA. And yes, like, teams got better, but I don't think anyone got that much better, right? Like, I don't think Dallas is that, like, man, Dallas, Klay Thompson, that was the piece they needed. Dennis Schroeder, or not Dennis Schroeder, Spencer Dinwiddie, good, I hand him the trophy now. Like, I don't think it was that. DeMar DeRozan going to the Kings, it's like, yeah, like, hey, like, they may have made him better, but Sacramento there's an argument that they may be worse, right? And look, I wanted DeMar DeRozan on the Lakers, but the Lakers needed somebody like him. The Kings already have De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. They don't really need another isolation scorer, right? Like, they needed, their offense hasn't been a problem, right? I know that they had the hefty decline and people point out, well, they were like 14th last year or whatever. Yeah, but that was after Malik Monk. You're talking about the entirety of the season. Malik Monk goes down, and it was basically De'Aaron Fox, and like no one else showed up. Everyone else just vanished and disappeared, right? To me, I would have rather upgraded around the edges. Instead of getting a DeMar DeRozan for them, like, go get a Cam Johnson or a Jeremy Grant, like, get an upgraded Harrison Barnes, right? Get another, or add another 3 and D Wayne, or, go get some, somebody that makes more sense for what they need, particularly on the defensive side. But that's neither here nor there, right? I don't think that they got anybody better. Oklahoma City, I think you can make the argument, had the best offseason and addressed kind of like they needed another big man. They got in Hartenstein. He's great. He kind of fits what they want to do. Alex Caruso, that defense, that perimeter defense, is probably going to be best in the league. That is tough with Dort and Caruso. Yeah, like, they're going to be fun to watch, right? As just a basketball fan, I'm excited to watch OKC this upcoming season. But in the grand scheme of things, they got better, yes, but it wasn't necessarily a debate of, like, are they better than the Lakers? It was a matchup issue. Like, the Lakers' size and versatility was too much for them. It's why they struggled. Like, that hasn't changed. Like, Hartenstein isn't locking down Anthony Davis, right? Like, like, they still don't have that guy to address LeBron James, right? So, again, I don't necessarily think that, like, OKC is unbeatable. And, like, Denver got worse. Don't get me wrong. Denver's still going to be very good. But they got worse. Clippers got worse. Although I do like what the Clippers did in the offseason about their acquisitions and stuff. But you're not replacing Paul George. And Kawhi Leonard just got kicked off of Team USA because his knees are shot. Like, I don't think that that's going to be going anywhere, right? So, like, again, I look at the landscape. I don't hate the idea of, like, if nothing's there right now, don't force it. Right? Much like the year we traded Russell Westbrook. Not for, but traded Russell Westbrook. Right? We were in the same position. It was like we wanted to pull off a deal. Everyone was trying to fleece us. right? At this time that year, it was, we want both firsts unprotected. We want all of your pick swaps. We want all of your second. Like, they wanted the house and the dirt that the foundation is on, right? Like, they wanted everything. And then you got to training camp and it was like, all right, fine. Just the 2 firsts. Just give us 2 firsts. I mean, even we could have gotten Buddy Hield and Miles Turner for the 2 firsts, right? And I still think that we should have done that personally, but neither here nor there, right? Like, they were like, let's just go see what this looks like, right? Let's be patient and ride it out, right? Patience is key in my opinion. I know Laker fans and fans in general, it's not just Laker fans, but fans in general, they're not the most patient, right? Everyone wants their team to win now and do the move now and get it done now. But to me, I do think patience is key, just like you saw in that year, right? The Utah Jazz trade was there this time that year. But it was no Jared Vanderbilt. It was Rudy Gay, Mike Conley, Malik Beasley, and they wanted everything in the kitchen sink, right? And then you got training camp, and it was the same players, no Vando, but now, okay, we'll just do it for 2 firsts. And then you got to the trade deadline, and it was Malik Beasley swapping Mike Conley for D'Angelo Russell, and you still got Jared Vanderbilt. Right? The one guy that they like refused to trade all season long. All of a sudden, it was like, all right, fine, you guys can have Jared Vanderbilt. And, oh, by the way, we only had to give up 1 first, and it was protected. So, to me, it's like, I don't, like, if nothing is there, don't force it. No trade is better than a bad trade. Right? Like, I would rather, I'm old enough to remember Luol Deng and Timothy Mozgov because Jim Buss was like, I need to build a contender by 2017, and they ended up doing something just to do something, and like we just finished paying Luol Deng like 2 years ago or whatever it was, right? Like, so again, I would rather them not do anything than force the issue and try to find a trade that just doesn't make. And now we sold the farm, and it's like, because again, even if you get Jeremy Grant, let's say Jeremy Grant, right? It's like, do we get better? Yes, absolutely, but I don't think, like, now you look at Jeremy Grant and the rest of the roster and go, oh, yeah, they're clearly a top 3 to 5 team in the league. I don't. Could they be? Possibly. Because, look, there's a lot of factors that go into that, right? The chemistry, how the team plays, how good are they, how efficient are they on the offense side, defense side. Like, there's a lot of factors. Could they be a top 3 to 5 team in the league? Possibly. But just on the surface, I don't know if you could look at that, right? And, like, sticking with this roster right now, I'm, again, old enough to remember last year, even Laker haters and the media that usually bash the Lakers were like, the Lakers are terrified, right? Like, they got depth, they got talent, they brought the team back that went to the conference finals, they kind of upgraded around the edges, like, hold on, timeout, like, they might be something. And then you had terrible coaching, you had a bunch of injuries, right? You had inconsistencies from the players. I mean, the players were just very inconsistent, right? Like, it was this stew of just issues that the Lakers had, and they still won 47 games. They still won the in-season tournament. If it wasn't for that 10-13 stretch, thanks Darvin Ham, like, the Lakers would have probably been a top 4 seed, right? Like, if they win half of those games, they're a top 4 seed. Like, so again, like, at times the way people talk about the Lakers and like potentially running it back is as if this team only won like 37 games. Like, any other year but last year, the Lakers would have been probably a top 3 seed. But the West is just so stacked. But just like last year, there's no team outside of like Denver that is like, there's no way the Lakers beat them, right? And even Denver, I think the Lakers can beat them. If guys just showed up or we had better coaching, I think we beat Denver, right? But again, like, it's still a question. Like, can we get over the hump with Denver? And then beyond that, the landscape, I just think, is wide open. And we saw that even last year. Again, teams are going to be better, but so will the Lakers. You're going to have better coaching. You have another year of chemistry, hopefully more health. You have LeBron James and Anthony Davis in mid-season form because they're playing in the Olympics right now. Right? Like, the only questions are, like, again, health and how good will JJ Redick be year 1 as a head coach. But even if he's serviceable, he'd be better than Darvin Ham was at stretches of that season. So I don't think it's the end of the world. And I don't hate the idea of, waiting till the trade deadline, right? And then kind of addressing what needs, and especially as prices go down, more teams are willing to sell because they're like, man, this year didn't go the way that we had planned, right? So we're not winning a chip this year. Let's kind of unload some pieces and kind of hit the drawing board next. You see it every year, right? So to me, again, like, but even at the trade deadline, if nothing's there, nothing's there, right? You don't force the issue. I want to be clear. Like, I do think the Lakers need a trade. Like, if they want to clearly win a championship, I think that they need a trade. But I don't think anyone would be shocked if the Lakers won a chip, right? Like, I don't think anyone would be surprised if the Lakers represent the West. I think everyone would be like, yeah, they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, right? Like, and again, if role guys showed up, we beat Denver. But look at these last playoffs, right? You had Denver's role guys show up against the Lakers. Lakers didn't. Lakers lost. Then you had the Timberwolves role players show up against Denver, and Denver's role players didn't, and Denver lost. Then you had Dallas's role players show up against Minnesota, and Minnesota's role players didn't. Minnesota lost. Then in the finals, then you had the Boston Celtics, and their guys show up, and their role players show up, and Dallas's didn't. Right? Like, so again, it's the same thing with if the Lakers role guys show up, we win. We're probably in the NBA Finals. But they didn't, which is why I think we need to upgrade. I want at least one or really two guys that are just more consistent, right? That also would hopefully fill a need. But again, like, I don't look at this roster and go, oh man, they're terrible. Like, I think they're a top 5 seed in the West. Like, genuinely. I don't think that that's crazy to say. I don't think that that's like, no way. I know you get trolls, you get people that, oh, yeah, Lakers are a play-in team. Like, all right, we'll see. But, maybe they will be, right? There's a lot of factors that go into that. If Lakers were healthy, they wouldn't have been a play-in team last year, right? Like, if Lakers had better coaching, they wouldn't have been a play-in team last year, right? So, again, like, why is it far-fetched? And we were only, like, a game out of, like, not being in the play-in. It's not like we were, like, 5 or 6, right? Like, so, again, to me, it just depends on how things shape up. But, no, again, I mean, there's still going to be trade rumors. There's still going to be, the Lakers are still being active on the trade front because you got to still touch base. You still got to do your due diligence. You still got a job to do. But again, if it's not there, don't push it. I want to trade, right? I know I'm like Mr. Trade guy. Like, we talk all the trades because, again, it's the off season, right? There's not really much else going on. Like, what else is there to talk about outside of trades and the rumors that are coming out? That's all there is, right? So, like, again, I get that, but in the same breath, like, I've said every year, right? I say the same thing where it's like, hey, don't force the issue. If it's there, take it, right? You got to do something, in my opinion, just watching LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But you don't have to do it right now. You don't have to do it right this second. You'd be nice to do it now. So that way, obviously everybody wants their team in place going into training camp. And that's usually why deals get done before training camp. Because the team, like, a team like the Blazers, they're like, hey, we don't want to go in with the season with Jeremy Grant. We're trying to lose game. We're trying to get our young guys going, right? Like, they don't want that. So they go, okay, fine. Like, so we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But anyway, again, as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.